Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Dallas Stars franchise mode. So in last episode we had the off season where we signed a couple of new players to the organization. I'll show you guys quickly. I also made some line changes off after last episode. So basically we have Vaborny on the second line still, but Trent Klatt has now been moved down to the second line just because Donald Odette has some good face-off stats, so I decided to put Odette with Klatt and Vaborny, kind of shape up that second line a bit more, because currently at the moment David Vaborny is the worst in terms of plus-minus. Now it could be because he was on the penalty kill, I think, but who knows. So we're going to put him on that line, and then Lundell, it goes up to the top line as a winger instead of a center down on the second line. Then I also made some changes in terms of the special teams because we were kind of struggling in terms of our special teams lineup. So now in terms of how our power play is laid out, I moved Zalapsky down to the second one just because there was two forwards here as well. So it was an all forward power play unit, which is kind of not a good idea. So Zalapsky's going to be down there with Odette, Vaborny, Lundell, and Klatt. And then Young's going to be up there instead with all the big guys. In terms of our penalty kill, I also switched just a few things. So Lundell is now on the wing instead, and Gilchrist is at center. Martinson stays where he is, and same with Craig. So I didn't really make much moves to the penalty killing unit, because like Ludwig Martinson's been a pretty good penalty killer so far this season. As you can see, 11 points, and he's a plus 12. He's actually got one short-handed goal already this year, so I'm hoping that he could continue to be that very good penalty killing kind of guy we need. So anyways, let's get started back with the simulation. We are off to a bit of a rocky start this year. We started the year 2-10 or something like that, but we have been picking it up lately, and now we're up to 12, 11, and 3. Hopefully we can get some more wins in this episode, and hopefully not as much injuries as we had in the first bit of the season, because we already had 3 injuries, including one to Nabokov at one point. So let's see if we can get some wins here in December. We're probably going to go up to the trade deadline at least in this episode, and I might make a trade on my own if need be. So Drake Rabbit has been fired. That's the New Jersey Devils head coach. So I guess New Jersey's now headed back into rebuild kind of territory, which is really weird, because by this point in time they were poised to win another Stanley Cup, actually. No, I do not need Bruce Cassidy, Tampa Bay, but thank you. I appreciate the offer. Okay, so we've won 2 of our first 3 games this month, and one of them was the one loss was a pretty good offensive showing, but a really bad defensive one. It seems like our defense is having some troubles, but some of the pairings are doing pretty good. But we are definitely a good offensive team when we need to. As I say that, though, we lose 4-1, so we don't get any offense. Teppo Numminen. Hey, that would actually be interesting, but I don't really want to give up my first. Because Teppo Numminen actually played with Dallas around 2004 to 2007, I think. So that would be a pretty interesting deal to do, but I'm not going to do it because I don't really want to give up our first and know if we're not going to be a playoff team or not. It's kind of risky at this stage, but it would be neat to bring in Teppo Numminen. I almost forgot about him playing in Dallas for a bit because he was with Buffalo as well, and Phoenix, or Arizona, I guess you could say as well. And we beat Toronto, but we are still kind of bouncing around in terms of 500 hockey, but that's still good enough in terms of how you play in the 90s when there was ties and whatnot. Playing around 500 could get you into the playoffs, so we'll see if we can continue to just win games at least, or bounce around. Another game against Montreal, we win 4-3, and we're 19-16-3 at January the 1st. How does that put us in terms of the standings in our division? Still in the wild card spot, but by 7 points, I think. Actually, by only a couple points because the Flames are just out, but we have less games played than them, so we're off to a pretty good start, I think. We just need to continue winning games, and I think we could do this. So let's go another month. See how we simulate in January. I think I might get the rest of the season done in this episode just because it's purely a simulation episode, so... Also, if you hear any saws in the background, I apologize. Somebody's cutting something outside, it seems like. So Thomas Vokoun has been injured, which is not good, till January the 10th, so that's a bit of ways away, like only a week. But we are going to have to call up our other goalie that we called up just in last episode as well, and that is Simic, because we did lose Nabokov early in the year, and now we lost Vokoun, so both goalies are having injury problems, it seems like, this year. So yeah, that's going to put in Simic. Hopefully Simic could simulate pretty well. Looks like he didn't play that well in his first game that he played with us in NHL. Yeah, he did not play that good at all. Well, 4 goals on 34 shots. I mean, he got peppered with shots. That's his problem. And in the AHL, we will throw in this Pronger guy that the computer signed us in last episode to fill our goalie void. Okay, let's see if we can get some wins here. We still have our starter at least. It's just we don't have our backup in Vokoun anymore. We tied with Florida there, 2-2. Okay, so we're still winning games and losing games and sometimes tying. Pretty much everything. Sorry about that, I lost my voice for a bit. So Koivunen has been injured in the minors, replaced player. And Thomas Vokoun is back, which is good news. We're going to have to send back down our young guy again, but hopefully he becomes a backup goalie at least in the NHL. Looks like he played his next few games, and he actually won 2 of them. So he definitely turned it around since we last looked. So good job, Lubomir. I kind of like that name, Lubomir. It's definitely a Slovakian name, because Lubomir Visnovsky of the LA Kings. So we're going to send down Simic. Hopefully he's been simulating well in the AHL. I actually haven't taken a look at the AHL simulating and seeing how they're doing in terms of standings. So Pronger, you're out, and in comes Simic. I wonder how the AHL is doing. I guess we'll check after this month ends. But we are playing some good hockey as of late. There's a win over the Devils. And yeah, now we're playing our game. We lost 1-0 against Edmonton, but we are winning a lot as of late. So we are making a push to being a better team in the division in terms of standings. So I think Koivunen was around there. Oh no, he's on the top one. Shit. Yeah, because it's definitely Reece Scarlett's not a forward, so gotta take him out. And Koivunen goes in there. Okay, so we have 5 more games this month. Rutar's been injured in the AHL. There you go. 1-0 OT loss. That sounds like the most boring game, and it sucks that we didn't get any points out of it. That's what happens when you have ties and stuff like that. There's just random 1-0 games. So yeah, we are definitely playing good though this month, and we are now 27, 18, and 4-1, and we have 1 more game left this month. Of course, I have to make an injury change though first. So Rutar back in, and there we go. But yeah, we're definitely, I think, a playoff team this year at this rate, because this team is starting to win a lot more games after a slow start to the year. And did we win that game as well? No, we lost it, I think. Yes, we lost 7-2. So we're 27, 19, 4-1 at February the 1st. Mike Modano currently leading just under point per game, and we are second best in our division, just well, actually 11 points back of the Blues. So the Blues are just dominating this year. Interesting. Okay, so how much points above the last playoff team? So 47. Yeah, 47 is like the cutoff at the moment, so we're in a good spot. Let's just continue simulating. Let's actually take a quick look if there's been any trades so far this season, because there could have been between some teams that we didn't get notified about. So there was one. So Stefan Fisse and a 4th head to the Ottawa Senators for a 4th and a 5th, which head to San Jose. That's the only trade that month. Okay. So let's go right to the deadline now. I don't know if we're going to make any trades at all this season, because if we continue simulating like this, I don't think it's mandatory for us to make a trade, but who knows? We could end up making something, like if there's a player dropping off in overall or whatnot. But I would like to keep Ray Bourque with this team for another cup run, Because in real life, technically, he did get traded to Colorado, and then he didn't win the cup that year, but then he won the cup the year afterwards. So maybe this is our year. So Paul Cavallini injured with a sprained ankle, so we're gonna have to put in our depth defenseman, which is Jeff Bookaboom. Hopefully, he brings that physical presence on the top six. So we're kind of having a bit of a rocky start to this month. It's 1-1-1. Game against Hartford is a 4-1 loss. It could be because we have that injury problem. Czech Republic we beat 3-1. And there's another trade. So R. Leach in a first head to Ottawa for Rob Pearson and Dave Reed. Yeah, Dave Reed. So Rob Pearson is one of our former players, I think. Or no, actually, no, he's not. We had Scott Pearson, that's right. I don't know if those guys are related even. There's another trade, a second and a third head to Florida for Scott Mellenby and for Dennis Vile. So Mellenby heads to the Canucks. Interesting. I don't think Mellenby ever actually played there, because he went to St. Louis eventually. So Mike Donnelly's on waivers. No, don't think I need him. No, he's 74. Damn, he was actually in the NHL this season. That's weird. 5-1 win over Hartford, and Cavallini is back. Good, because we kind of need him. I don't know if Bookaboom is going to be that solid as a depth defender. 2 points in 6 games and a +2 in 10 penalty minutes. Okay, that's actually not bad for 76. I was expecting a lot worse. So Cavallini back in. There we go. Okay, so we got a game against Germany happening now. And there's another trade. So Glennie and Biggs head to Hartford for Bob Erie and Jason Bowen. So it seems like Hartford's going still through rebuilding. We did lose to Germany 3-1. Wow, a lot of trades happening already. Artukin and Grenier in a second head to Tampa Bay for Tucker, Eklund in a fourth. Okay. Come on, boys, let's get some more wins. Because if we could at least, yeah, we're going to probably be a playoff team no matter what. Even if we finish around 500, I don't think this team shouldn't miss the playoffs. If we miss the playoffs, then that's kind of weird. But so Tampa Bay's acquired a prospect in 2/3 for Andres Johansson, I think that is. There's another trade. 2 seconds head to San Jose for Pat Falloon in a 6th. Okay. Last 2 games before the deadline, Germany and St. Louis. And there's another, this one's a big trade. Wow, 2 first-round picks and Ferrelli, so a prospect, head to Edmonton for Doug Waite, who's an 87 overall, and Luke Richardson. So both those guys head to Boston. So I guess Boston is looking to win a Stanley Cup this year. But adding Doug Waite, that's a good addition for Boston. Another trade, Modry and Smolik head to the Flyers with a third for Novikov and Germain. Okay. And last game before the deadline is against a tough St. Louis Blues team. And are we going to beat them? No, we don't. So we kind of went on a little bit of a fall-off point right near the end of that month. So we lost 5 of our last 6 games going into the deadline, which is kind of concerning. Let's take a quick look at standings again. We are now in the wild card spot with 67 points. But we are still like 10 points back of the above the last playoff team, or team that's not in the playoffs. So we are still in a good position as that wildcard spot, but I'd like us to finish higher up in the standings, but we are only a couple points back of the Blackhawks, who have 70 points. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at what's on the block. I'm going to just skim through this pretty quickly, I think. Where do I find this damn trading block again? Right there. Okay, we're just going to quickly skim through to see if there's anything quickly available. I don't think I'm going to make any trades, though. Just because I don't really like to throw around, kind of like reset the team. I make trades when I think they're mandatory, and I don't know if it's mandatory right now. Like, we are kind of dropping off a bit, which is kind of concerning, so maybe we want to make a deal. But the thing is, I don't know who we would want to bring in. Now, I think Robert Cron must have got statistical growth because he's definitely not an 89. Nick Kyprios. We actually should maybe trade for a depth forward. That wouldn't be a bad option, trading for a depth center, because at the moment we don't have a depth centerman. We have a depth defenseman and a depth winger, but we don't have a depth center. Pirietta wouldn't be that bad, but I don't know what we could give up for somebody like Pirietta. He's a minus 32 in New Jersey. You know what, let's just trade for him, maybe. Give up a pick, because we do need, like I said, a depth center, and he might be the perfect guy for that option. So let's give up a draft pick. I know they want draft picks, so let's see if we can do a 4th. Yeah, we might be able to do a 4th for Pirietta. And that's rejected, so I guess we're going to have to give up a 3rd. This might be a bit high price for a depth guy, but we need depth going into the playoffs. That's how teams win the Stanley Cup, is having good depth. And New Jersey's really doing bad. So, Pirietta for a 3rd, and it's accepted. So, welcome aboard, Lassie Pirietta. I think that's a good move for us, just to pick up that depth guy that we need going into the playoffs, hopefully. If for some reason we miss the playoffs now, then that's going to look like a bad trade for us, but I think this team should be a playoff team, and acquiring some depth like that, that's going to definitely help us out. So let's quickly take a look at the trades actually that happened, just in case there was anything else. I'll just skim through it, probably won't read them out, just because this episode is probably running long already. It's probably right around 16 minutes or so. So there is the trades. Most of them I think I read out, but some of them I didn't. Like Dina Vason getting traded again. Okay, Joe Sacco. Steve Thomas got dealt to Chicago. I think he was there in real life too. So yeah, there was a pretty decent amount of trades, it looks like, in that last month or so. Okay, so let's get the rest of the season simulated, and then hopefully we're a playoff team so we could take a look at who we're going up against and all that. Because we are 10 points above that last team that isn't in the playoffs, so I think we should be able to do pretty well. It just depends on how we simulate. And yeah, hopefully, hopefully we don't suffer any injury problems, but we just got one there. So Book-a-Boom is going to have to come back in on that top 6. We lose to the Ducks, but we do beat Detroit, and then we tie with Detroit in a back-to-back. Rangers and Islanders, we lose to the Rangers, and Scott Young has been injured now. Jeez. I guess we'll just go replace player. And it's good I brought in some depth, I guess. Because when you bring in depth, at least you have something to fill the void. Like, if you don't, then you have to call players from the AHL, and that's, like, the worst. Who is it that's back in the AHL? Helmerson. Oh, yeah, that's right. I should have just looked where Reese Scarlett was. So there you go, Helmerson. Come on. Oh, yeah, he did go back in. That's good. Okay, it was kind of slow for a bit. And Simic has been injured in the AHL. That's not good for the AHL team, but whatever. And Lachance is back, so it wasn't that long of an injury. Hopefully this team could just win down the stretch. And how's Book-a-Boom been doing? Still taking a lot of penalty minutes. 22 penalty minutes in 11 games. Jeez. He's probably gotten into at least a couple fights, I would assume. Like I said, in real life, that guy was really physical in terms of throwing hits and all that. And Young is back as well. So Archibald, you're back out. Pirietta will be going in when we have injuries to centerman, I guess. Or if, like, for some reason we have, like, somebody not performing, like Gilchrist, maybe we'll put in Pirietta instead. We are kind of struggling this month. That's not good. But we are still holding a line. We just need to somehow get a winning streak going, please, boys. How are we losing so much? Let me just stop this simulation. We're, like, tying a bunch of games, but we're losing a lot. Like, I think we had the same problem last year, where we just, like, dropped the ball in March. Like, this team is trending downwards. 75 points, and the last team that's out of it is 72, so we are trending way back. It's not good. Can this team please pick it up? I don't know why all of a sudden we just dropped the ball. Like, we started the season really slow, and now we're ending the season slow. So I don't know what's wrong with this team. Game against Calgary, can we please win a game? There we go. And against Vancouver, we beat them as well. So we should be kind of getting close to clinching. 79 points in 79 games. Not really a successful year, but decent nonetheless, I guess. At least we make the playoffs, maybe. Okay, so Simic is back, so we're going to have to take out Pronger. Simic's up to a 74 down there. How's he been? Not very good, but I mean he's still growing. He could be actually a good backup goalie for the NHL. We lose to St. Louis, which is not good, and we lose to Tampa Bay. God damn, what is with this simulation? And we lost to Toronto, and we have not clinched a playoff spot with all 82 games. That is not good. That is not good. Who is just outside of the playoffs? The Cosmonauts. If the Cosmonauts win their game, yeah, if the Cosmonauts win, I think they make the playoffs. Shit. We might actually miss the playoffs. Oh, no, we just made the playoffs, I think. Did I see that right? Yeah, we just clinched a playoff spot because the Cosmonauts... I think they tied their game, so they only got like 1 point. But we did make the playoffs, so that is good. We just barely made the playoffs again. I think last year we just barely made it by the skin of our teeth as well. So once again, we have to be the cheese team and win against good teams. So let's take a quick look at the standings and the player stats for the season, and then we'll take a look at who we're up against in round number 1. So first, let's go with the player stats. I'm surprised we actually made the playoffs in that last month because we just really dropped the ball. So Mike Medano, 75 points this year, but he had 127 penalty minutes, which is kind of weird. Because that was kind of actually wasn't out of nowhere, but I didn't realize he was that physical. In real life, he wasn't, I don't think. So yeah, that's good. Wong, 67 points. Lundell, 49. Gilchrist, 33. Martinson, 27 in his first season. It's pretty good. Only 9 penalty minutes. Shooting 19.4% on that fourth line. And he only averaged 1050 on ice. But he was also penalty killing, so I think Martinson actually might be like kind of diamond in the rough kind of player. He was a low top 6. So maybe he'll be like a third liner next year. Purietta had no points with us, I don't think, because we brought him in, and we didn't play him at all. We might play him this season in the playoffs, who knows. Klatt, 55 points. Stewart, 31 points. Right wingers, Courtnall had 48. That might be why we kind of struggled this year, because Courtnall seems to be dropping off a lot in production. Like, he went from 99 to 82 to 57 to now only 48. So he's probably getting close to retirement, and I don't know if we will bring him back in the offseason. I think he's got 1 year left. Donald Dead, 42 points. Viborny, 41 points. Not too bad for his first season with us. Young, 36 points. Craig, 23. And Archibald had 2 and 12. As for defensemen, Hatcher had 30 points and was a plus 30. Bork had 30 points despite being 40 years old and a minus 3. Slapsky, 24 points and a plus 26. Sweeney, 23 points. Cavallini, 17. Lachance, 7. And Bookaboom, 2. As for goaltenders, Nabokov went 24, 28, and 2 with 2 shutouts, a .902 save percentage, and a 2.91, while Vokun went 9 and 7 with a .906 and a .268. As for assists, they both had 1 assist per game. Well, not per game. 1 assist in the season. Okay, let's take a quick look at the entire league. Who led the entire league in points this season and stuff like that. So Rod Brindamore, 111 points out of nowhere with the Florida Panthers. Interesting. Fedorov had 106 and Shanahan 106. And then in terms of goals, the best goal man was Rod Brindamore. Then it was Luke Robitaille. Best plus minus man was Brett Hull with 51 points. Or not 51 points, plus 51. Let's take a look at defensemen. I think I just said it was Brian Leach. Yeah, Brian Leach led again, 97 points. Scott Niedermayer right behind him. And Matthew Schneider as well. Daryl Sador somehow. And Sergei Zubov. Goaltending-wise, let's see who is the best goalie for wins. It was Mike Richter with 39. And then Mika Kiprusoff is now in the NHL. He was in the draft a few years back. And he's made the NHL actually the last few years, but he had a really good simulation, so Kiprusoff might actually be able to get the Bruins to being a cup contender, but that just seems weird as hell. Trevor Kidd was up there as well. I don't know how Trevor Kidd got 37 wins, but okay. Patrick Wall. Looks like Brodeur had a really rough year, though. Shutouts, Tugnut and Turek led with 7 shutouts each, and save percentage-wise, the best for a starter was Mika Kiprusoff, so Kiprusoff might win the Vezina this year. How bad did Brodeur play? Because the Devils were really bad. He was below 500, but he didn't have that bad of a record, but only one shutout. That is weird. Actually, he's been below 500 the last few seasons. He's not simulating really realistic, but whatever. Okay, so let's take a look at who we are going up against. Yet, not yet. Actually, standing stuff. We'll take a look at this first quickly, and then we'll see who we're going up against. Yeah, because this episode's already at like 25 minutes. So Finland finished first with 104 points. Interesting. I guess it's because they have like a young Koivu and they also have a young Alfredson because they drafted him. Okay, so goals for per game this season. We were not good on offense. We were kind of around the middle, looks like. And then goals against per game. Where were we in goals against? We must have been, we were pretty decent in goals against, but goals for, we were really not that good. So we need to kind of pick up our offense a bit more. Maybe draft some good snipers or something, or power forwards. And then power play percentage was the second worst in the league, 12.3%. So we definitely need to also find somebody that's a good power play player. And then our penalty kill was also not that good as well. So special teams once again seem to be a problem for this team. We had 3 shorthanded goals, and then we were better on the road than on home ice. Okay. So let's take a look at who we're going up against in terms of the playoffs in the first round. Hopefully we can be a good cheese team again this season and get past like the first round and maybe the second round this year. So we're going up against the tough St. Louis Blues, though, who went 50, 24, 3-5, and they're 8-2 in their last 10. So this is going to be a very tough matchup. They probably have a very good roster. Yeah, they probably have they obviously have Brett Hull and Shanahan. They might still have Janney as well, and maybe Phil Housley from year number 1. I don't even know. Let's take a look. Okay, so yeah, they have Shanahan, Janney, and Hull. This line is really good in terms of production in real life as well. Shanahan, that power forward. Janney's a really good playmaker, and Brett Hull, the really good shooter. Second line, you got Jimmy McGinnis, who was an elite guy that they drafted 5th overall in 2023. So this guy's just getting started. Then you also have Igor Korolev and Ulf Dahlin, former Dallas Star. I don't know if he was with us in this. No, he wasn't. You also have Bill Berg, Elliot Wyman, another young prospect who's a low elite. Interesting. And Lucas Fedchkovsky somehow made it. Fourth line, you got Josh Williams, who somehow made it, Kevin Miller, and Peter Nedved. So I like their forward core. It's a bit weird with Svechkovsky and Miller, but other than that, it's pretty good. Then in terms of defense, they have still Phil Housley, who's getting up there in age, with Dmitry Yuskevich, so pretty good 1-2 punch. You also have Brian Benning and Yanni Laukkanen. Brian Benning, I think, is back where he started his career, if I'm not mistaken, in real life, so that's kind of neat. Then you also have Todd Gill, and you also have Hunter Warner. I guess he was a free agent signing. Okay. Goaltending wise, you have Trevor Kidd, who somehow had a fantastic season, 37 wins. Yeah, 37 wins. It could be due to the offense, but he looked like he had a pretty good season. And then you also have Darren Pupa as the backup, who actually had a pretty solid season as well. So St. Louis is kind of a weird team in that sense. And in depth-wise, they have Philippe Bozan, the Frenchman from France. You also have Kai Nurminen and Corey Millen. So overall-wise, I'm still pretty scared just because of how good of a season they had and how bad of a season we had. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get by them, but we do have championship status, if that means anything. Hopefully we can beat them in the next episode, and hopefully we can advance. Now, quickly, before I end this episode, let's take a look at this playoff tree. So we got Anaheim and Edmonton, Sweden and Vancouver, us in St. Louis, and Chicago and Toronto making up the Western Conference. As for the East, we got Finland and Buffalo, Philadelphia and the Rangers, Quebec and Florida, and Boston and Montreal. So a pretty good matchups in terms of the playoff hunt. So I guess we'll see who wins the Stanley Cup, maybe already in the next episode if we get eliminated. Hopefully not for a few episodes though. So anyways, let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.